this video, I'm showing you 6 of the most useful stitches I use for sewing and mending by hand. First up is the straight stitch, also called the running stitch. It's the most basic, but it's still one of the most useful. To do this stitch, you bring your needle up through the fabric and then back down again in a straight line a short distance away. Keep repeating these stitches, trying to keep them as even as possible. You can even load a few stitches onto your needle at once and pull them all through together. A straight stitch is great for strengthening seams or stitching patches, and is the basis for sashiko stitching, which is stitching in these long straight lines back and forth. I find it's helpful to keep my thumb on the stitches as I pull the thread through. This stops it from being too tight and your fabric from puckering. You can see the finished straight stitch. The front and the back are identical. Next we have a back stitch, which is your go-to stitch if you want a strong seam. You start this stitch by going into the fabric behind where the thread comes out of your fabric and then coming out forward of where that original thread was coming out of the fabric. From then on, you go into the end of your previous stitch back and come out forward for your next stitch. See here, go back in through the back and then come out forward. You want to try and keep your stitches as even as possible. It's kind of like sewing 1 step back, 2 steps forward. This stitch holds up well to stress, so it's perfect for seams or areas that get a lot of wear or are under some tension. Here you can see the completed back stitch. It looks like a nice row on the front, and on the back it looks like lots of loops where you've looped back over to yourself many times. Next we have the whip stitch, which whips around the edges of your fabric, making it perfect for closing holes or attaching patches. To do this stitch, you bring your needle up behind, pass it over and through the fabric down again, keeping the angle of your stitches as even as possible. This stitch is not a hidden stitch, so it will show up on your mend, which makes it perfect for visible mending. I often use this stitch also for felling seams on the inside of garments when hand sewing. Whip stitch is also great for using as a raised decorative stitch. To do this, pull your thread tighter to pucker the fabric. You can use it as decorative edging or even maybe a stem of a flower that you want to embroider. And here is a completed whip stitch. You can see here how important it is to keep the angles of your stitches even. Next up we have a ladder stitch, or also known as a mattress stitch. This stitch is magic for invisible joins. To do this stitch, you bring your needle out from one side of the fabric where it's folded along the seam, then go straight across to the other side of the fabric where the seam is folded, pick up a little bit of the fabric and then go back over the other side and do the same thing. You keep going back and forth, creating a ladder. Don't pull the thread tight until you get to the end or a little ways up your fabric, and then when you pull it tight, it's like magic. The seam closes and your thread disappears. The ladder stitch is ideal for stuffed toys, seam repairs or finishes where you want the stitches hidden. I use this one regularly for patching holes in my little one's stuffed toys. Here you can see the ladder, which gives this stitch its name. And here is the magic at the end. Pull the thread, the seam closes and all the stitches disappear. And this is what ladder stitch looks like when you are finished. Now onto blanket stitch, which is both decorative and functional. To do this stitch, you pop your patch onto the fabric, bring the needle through the fabric from the back just next to the edge of your patch, then put your needle in slightly off to the side and pull out the needle right on the edge of your patch again, looping the thread over before you pull it tight, as you can see in the video. This anchors your stitch by stitching along the edge of the patch and tacking it onto your main fabric. Continue this way all the way around the outside of the patch. I find curved edges to be easier than having patches with square edges when using this stitch. I use this one a lot when my son was little, patching the knees on his pants. It's strong, tidy and looks nice and neat too. To finish up the very last stitch, you need to send down back behind the stitch to catch it onto the fabric, which you'll see here in a minute. It's a little different from the rest of the stitches all the way around. Sorry this isn't clear, it's gone a little blurry, but you can see I've gone straight back in behind to pull that stitch nice and straight and even. Here is the finished patch with the blanket stitch edge and also what the back looks like. Last up we have the hem stitch, which is a subtle and tidy way to do hems that are nearly invisible. To do this stitch, you start from the inside of the hem fold, take a tiny stitch into the fold, then catch just a thread or two of the main fabric above, go back into the fold and repeat. From the outside you'll barely be able to see a thing, especially if you are able to match your thread with your fabric really closely. Keep your stitches as even as possible and don't pull too tight. The thread should rest gently across the surface of your fabric. Being a short person, I use this stitch a lot. I have to hem up nearly every pair of pants that I buy, so it comes in handy. And here is the inside of the finished stitch and the outside. You can see that if you had a matching colour thread, those stitches would be just about invisible. These 6 stitches are the foundation for almost every mend and hand sewing project I do. Whether you're making it strong or making it beautiful, there's a stitch you can use.